See, in the third unit, we have the second topic. It's totally related to virtual functions and polymorphism. Okay. You are seeing my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
See, in the second part, we have majorly polymorphism topic. This is the OOPS concept, right? Future of one of the future of OOPS, object-oriented programming paradigm. Are you remember those points? What are those like OOPS futures? Anyone?
Data abstraction, data encapsulation, polymorphism.
Okay.
Encapsulation, sir.
Okay.
Data binding. Dynamic binding, message passing.
Okay. See, we have class, object, inheritance, okay, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction. Okay, this dynamic binding will come into this particular polymorphism only. Majorly, we have these these six are the like OOPS features. Okay, see, class, object, we have already studied in second unit, and inheritance in third unit. First topic, we are totally focused on this inheritance concept only. Like abstraction, we'll see in here only. Like we have abstract class concept. Okay, with that we can like conclude this abstraction. Encapsulation already we have seen by using uh, encapsulation means you are going to like bind the data inside a particular class, right? By using private, public, and protected. By using these access specifiers, we are just bind the data inside our class. Okay, that is encapsulation. Coming to here, like in the third unit, we have topics like polymorphism. What is polymorphism? We will see once again here, like static binding and dynamic binding, virtual functions. This is very very important. Already we have seen in the first part virtual base class, right? Virtual base class concept. This is similar to that only. We'll see that thing. Next, we have pure virtual functions. Pure virtual functions. Then abstract classes. Okay. We have one more topic, that is like virtual destructors. Okay. These are the topics we need to discuss in the second part, in third unit. Okay. See, before that, I will just ask you. We have already seen, I think, overloading concept, right? Overloading. Function overloading we have seen, right? Or constructor overloading. In the second unit, we have seen this constructor overloading topic, and this function overloading. When we talk about functions, I think already we have seen this thing. See, what is this overloading is? For example, you have one function like void, or else I will take return type is int. Okay, int add function is there. Okay, suppose if I want to add two numbers, okay, I'm just taking the two parameters into a comma int b. Okay, this is one function. It is having some definition to add these two numbers. Okay, I have one more function with the same name. Int add is there. In this case, I'm going to add three numbers, into a comma, into b comma, into c. See, I have one more function. Uh, in this case, I'm just taking return type as float. Float add, function name is same. Here I'm just going to add two floating type values. Float some x comma float y. If you observe, all these like three functions I have written in a single code, single program. Okay, see, if you observe here, name of the function. Okay, in all three functions, in all these three functions, you can observe name of the function is same. Okay, see, uh, if you observe in parameters, okay, I'm just differing number of parameters. Okay, in this case, here I'm just taken only two parameters. Here I have just taken three parameters. I'm just showing the difference in number of parameters. And in the third case, you can see I'm just showing here two parameters only. I'm taking the type of the data. Data type I just changed. Okay, in the previous case it is integer type data. In the third case, I'm just taking floating type data I'm going to add. Okay, this concept you can say overloading of a function. Means that same function name with different differ in number of parameters or data type of your parameters is called function overloading. Okay, same name you are taking for every function means some functions. Okay, here I have considered three functions. For three functions we have the same function name, but I am showing the difference in number of parameters or the type of the data that you are taking as a parameter. Okay, in this case integer type, in this case floating type. Okay, here also two arguments, here also two arguments, but in case uh, here, here I just consider three arguments. With the three are the integer type, but here you have the two arguments. Okay, this is about function overloading. Okay, see, name of the function is same, but we are showing difference in number of parameters or the type of the data. Okay, the same we have one more concept, overriding. Overriding. In overriding case, what we will do, we will take the same function name. For example, y display. Okay, same function name. Okay, with same number of parameters we are going to consider. Okay, that we will come into the topic. But as of now, just remember what is like overloading. Overloading means simple. You can write functions with the same name, but you are going to differ in number of parameters or type of the data that function is taking. Okay, this is one concept. I think we already seen this the overloading concept in the previous sessions. Okay, next, I'm just reminding this pointers concept also. Okay, because these pointers also we are going to use here. Okay, can anyone remember this pointers concept? What is pointer?
It stores the address.
Is it just like a variable only, but instead of storing the data, it is going to store the address of some another variable. For example, you have into a, okay, you have one more pointer variable. That pointer variable you are going to represent with a star. Okay, in this case, if I write ptr equals to unperson a means address of this a you are storing inside this ptr. Okay, for example, consider this is the memory. This a is pointing to this particular memory address. If you are assigning any value into a equals to 20 means that 20 is going to store inside a. Coming to this statement, ptr equals to unpercent a. Unpercent means it is the address operator. Okay, address of this particular a you are storing inside this pointer. Okay, you have one pointer variable ptr. This pointer variable is storing address of this particular variable a. Okay, for example, this address consider 1234. That 1234 is going to store inside this pointer. Okay, see, if I print this ptr, okay, you will get this address. Okay, if you want to get the value from this particular address, okay, you will use star operator. Star ptr means it will give the 20, means inside this address whatever the value you have, that value is going to print here. Okay, if I print ptr, it will print the address 1234. Okay, whatever the address you have here, that address is going to print by using this pointer. What is the use of pointer here? It is, see, inside ram, consider this is your ram, your computer ram or your mobile ram, whatever it is. Okay, uh, ram having some size, right? 2 GB ram. Okay, uh, a 4 GB ram, like that you have, right? See, this entire ram is going to like divide into like individual bytes. Okay, see, if you observe here, this is one byte. Okay, this is one byte, like that. Each byte is going to having its own address. Okay, this particular byte having one address like 1234, with this address having 1235, like that. Each address having its own address. Okay, when it comes to variable, okay, you are giving the name to your address. Okay, like this. Instead of giving the name like that, by using pointers you can directly like point to your particular address. Instead of giving the name directly, you can store the address in this particular pointer. Okay, that means you are not involving you are not storing the data inside the variable. Directly by using address, you are able to accessing the data from the memory. Okay, that is the reason we are using pointers. By using pointers, like retrieving the data from the memory, it is very fast. That's why in many like antivirus softwares, like different softwares, they will use uh, this pointers concept. Okay, this is about pointer. Just remember, instead of storing the data, you are storing the address inside this pointer. Okay, see, to access the data from that particular address, you are using star. Star ptr means you are getting the value. Same concept we have used in class also, right? For example, here you have class A. Okay, inside this class A, you have some public members, like void show. One function is there. Okay, void show, one function is there. Uh, just I'm printing some message. This is show method, show function, you can say. Okay, see, only single function is there. That is, function means it is a member function here. Okay, this is the class, right? See, for example, if you remembered or not, inside main function, see, execution starts from here only, right? From main only, it will starts your execution. Whatever the code you have written, like classes, any global variables, any header files you have written, everything will be executed later. But compiler always look for where you have written your main function. From there, your execution is going to start. See, inside this main, what I'm doing, I want to use this particular class. Okay. For that, what do you need to do? You need to create one object for that particular class. Okay. Creating object is class name space obj object name. Okay. This is one object I have created. How you can access? Can anyone tell? I want to use this particular function. How you can call this particular function? See, I have created one object for this particular A. Okay. Here just object name is obj. Okay, I want to call call this particular member function. How you can call from here, from main?
obj dot
Obj dot
show.
show.
Sure.
Good answer. This is the way you can use this particular function. You can call this particular function from your main function. Okay. See, because this is the public member. Public member you can access outside the class. Means this is the class. Outside the class we are trying to access. While you are accessing outside the class, you need to access by using object reference. Okay, for that you have created one object. By using that object reference, you are calling that function. Now you are in a position to access that particular show function. The point here it is, uh, instead of accessing by using a dot operator, means member operator. Okay, see what I am trying to do. Already we have discussed this point. I'm creating one pointer here, star ptr. Okay, which type of object it is? A type, right? Which type of pointer it is? A type. Means address of like this pointer is going to point to object of this particular thing. See, just like apply the same concept, the variable concept here also. Okay, ptr equals to, okay, ptr equals to unperson obj.
అమ్మ వేస్తున్నానమ్మా.
Who is that? Can you mute yourself? Okay. See, in case of variables, what we did, int a is there, okay, and one more comma pointer is there, ptr is there. What we did, ptr equals to unperson a. Same here, the same thing you are applying for objects as well. You have an object. Object means you are creating object means inside memory. It is going to allocate some memory for that obj object. Now you are declaring one more pointer variable of type A. Okay, it is going to give the memory for pointer also, PTR also. But this PTR going to store some address. Which address it is going to store, that we are mentioning here. Okay, PTR equals to address of OBJ. This OBJ address you are storing here. Suppose this address is 1234. The same 1234 is going to store here. Inside obj what we will have, show function is there, right? Members are going to copy into this object, whatever the class that class consists, whatever the members, all the members are going to copy into this particular object. Okay, now this object address you are storing inside this pointer ptr. Okay, ptr equals to unperson obj means your pointer now pointing to this ptr, now pointing to this particular object. Okay, the same, just how you are did in for variable, same thing for objects also. You are, by using pointers, you are pointing to your objects. Okay, see, while accessing this data from that particular pointer, particular address, you are using star ptr. Star ptr means it is returning the value from that particular variable, right? See, from now, by using this pointer, you can access these members from that particular object members. Okay, here you have the show function. That show function I can access by using pointer variable. How you can access, can anyone remember? If it is object, you are using dot operator, member operator. If it is a pointer, you need to use pointer to member operator. This is the pointer to member operator. Okay, show. See, this operator we have seen in structures, and even while discussing about class also we have already seen this operator. Okay, whenever you are using pointer, you need to use this pointer to member operator. If it is object, you need to use dot operator. Okay, by using pointer also you can access the members, okay, by using this operator, but you need to point that object. Okay, your pointer has to store that address first. Okay, this is the way you can store your object address inside the pointer. Clear this thing? Simple. Whatever we did for variable, same thing we are doing for objects as well. Okay, I will show in compiler as well. Okay, consider this is one like class base. Class name is base. Okay, I have two functions. One is display function. It is displaying. This is display function in base. Some message I'm just printing. I have one more function that is show. Okay, if you want to access these two members, first you need to create like I will just remove this. First you need to create one object. Okay, base some b. Okay, see, by using a b you can access two functions. One is display function also you can access. Okay, you can access show function also. This is the by using object reference. Okay, you can see in the output. Okay, it will print both whatever message you have written inside your member functions. Okay, now that is not the concept here. By using pointer, how you can access those two members. Okay, for that what I'm doing, I'm just creating one pointer variable ptr. Okay, now this ptr is pointing to ptr equals to and% b, means object. Okay, address of this object I'm storing inside this ptr. Now by using this pointer you can access those two members by using pointer to member operator. Okay, this is the operator. Okay, minus greater than symbol, this is the operator we will use to access the members by using pointers. Okay, then ptr to same second member function also you can access like this. Now you can observe in the output two times it is printed. This is by using dot operator. First one is using dot operator, second one is by using like pointers. Okay, clear this thing, right? If you are clear this thing, now we'll move to that virtual functions concept. Okay, there also we'll use these pointers only. Simple, we are just storing the address of object inside this pointer, and then we are by using that pointer you are able to access the your members. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is not the case. Actually, whatever we have seen as of now, we already discussed in the second unit. But now, uh, I'm just going to take one more class. I'm just deriving this class from base class. Okay, taking one more class, derive. Okay, like how you can derive that class? Public base, right? This is the way. Now, inside this particular derived also, this display function I will change, or else this show function I will change to put data function. A difference to show some difference. Put data function, and this is put data function. just removing all these things. Now tell me, you have two members inside base class. One is void display, one more is void show. Okay. Second, in derived class, you are deriving that base class here. Okay. You have display function and put data function. Okay. See, you are deriving means whatever the members that base class having, those members are by default visible inside this derived class as well. Means this particular display function and this show function. These two functions by default visible inside derived class as well. Okay. Like here, base class members plus derived class members. Inside here, I will just change the text. Okay. This is display function in derived. Derived. This is show function in base. This is put data function. It is not base, it is derived. Okay. See, in derived, you have two functions. One is display, one more is put data function. Okay. Thing is, along with these two functions, you have one more display function and one more show function. See, here I'm just creating one object for derived some D. Okay, object name is D. Okay. Now, uh, if I call these two functions, first I'm just calling display function and put data function by using object reference D dot like display. Okay, and then D dot put data. Okay. I'm just calling only derived class members. Okay, if you're creating object for derived means you can access derived class members as well as like base class members, because base class members by default like visible inside derived class as well. Okay, now I'm just showing output for this thing. Just I call display function in derived class and put data function in derived class. Now I'm saying these two functions are visible inside this particular derived class as well. Okay. Now if I call d dot show function, one more display here it is there, right? If I call d dot display, see, this display function is executed inside derived class. This put data function is executed inside derived class. This show function executed from base class. What about this display function? Can anyone expect? This is derived. Okay, here you have derived function is there, right? And this is also derived. Okay, this show function by default visible in derived class, so that you can call by using derived class object reference d dot show. Okay, this is from base class function is going to execute. Then d dot display. Okay, inside your base class you have one display function. Okay, that function I need to call. Is this that function means by using this particular derived class you can call that particular function, but see this output. See here, first derived class it is executed, this one, and this is the derived class only. Okay, this is base class. You can see here base show function from base class. In the last function call you can observe this is like display function in derived class. Okay, see, you are unable to call that base class member. Okay, base class function you are unable to call because display function you are already having one display function inside a particular derive. The same function name and same parameter list. Zero parameter list is, parameters are there, right? Same thing you have written inside base class and inside like derived class as well. Okay, this concept we can say like function overriding. Overloading means you are writing, you are showing some difference in number of parameters. Okay, if you observe here, y display and y display. This observe this particular function here, this thing, and this one also inside this one. If you observe function prototype, okay, same y display, same thing you have written both in base class and derived class. Okay, the way you are writing like this is called like overriding. Okay, you can say overriding. Okay, same function name with same number of parameters and same parameters. Okay, you can take, if you want to take some parameters here, you can take, for example, int x comma int y. Same int x comma int y you can take inside derived class as well. This means whatever the function that you have inside base class, that base class function you are overriding inside derived class. In that case, it is always executes, you are overriding this thing, means whatever you have inside base, that you are overriding with some other code. Okay, that is if you see inside base, I just overridden this particular display function inside derived class with some other code. This code is going to execute always. Okay, because you are overriding that particular function inside derived class. Okay, same with the same number of parameters with the same function name, so that it is always, if you are creating object for derived class, it is always call, they always execute this particular function only. Okay, this base class function does not execute. Okay, see, uh, if you want to execute this particular function, we have the concept called virtual function. Virtual function that we will see, but understand the concept here, how you are overriding your functions. Okay, the same function name and the same number of parameters. For example, you have one function like int add int x comma int y is there. Okay, see, in derived class also you have the same signature, int add int x comma int y. In this case, if I call by using derived class, it is always execute this particular derived class member only. Okay, it won't execute this particular like base class members. Okay, that we can access by using virtual functions concept. Okay, that we will see later. As of now, just understand how you are able to like accessing your members. Okay, now the concept is not that thing. By using pointers, how you can access these members, base class members. Okay, see, for example, if I create one pointer for base class, or like just creating one pointer base class. Okay, now what I will do, first I will call with these two methods, display function and put data function. Okay, see here ptr equals to, I'm storing the address of derived class. Okay, derived class address I'm storing base pointer. Okay, now by using pointer you can call ptr show function, and also you can call ptr display function. Now see this output. Anyone observe this thing? First, by using derived class object reference, I just call these two here. You can see by using derived class object, d dot means derived class object display. Okay, it is printed these two derived class members. Now, by using this particular thing, see pointer, I have created one pointer for base class. Okay, by using base class pointer, okay, I'm just trying to access the members of base class, but I'm pointing the address of derived class. A little bit confusion here, or don't get confused. Base class pointer is pointing to derived class object. Okay, this is D. Now your base class pointer is pointing to derived class object. Okay, inside derived class you have base class members and derived class members as well. If I call with this pointer, okay, it is always get the values from base class itself, because it is a base class pointer, right? Okay, see this is the derived class object. Consider this is derived class object. Inside derived class you have base class members, means display function is there, right? Display function and show function, and also in derived also you have display function and show function. Okay, see this base class pointer now pointing to this particular D object. Okay, this ptr now pointing to this object D. If I access the members from this particular, by using this particular pointer, it is always access the members of base class itself. Okay, now you are in a position to access your base class members. Now this display function is different. Okay, this display function is different. Okay, you are in a position to access both derived class members and base class members. But by using pointer you can access these members also. Okay, but if I access from, see instead of here I will just take derived. I'm not going to take base class pointer, derived class pointer only. It is just like a horror movie only, right? Are you feeling like that? Are you able to following me?
Yes, sir.
Simple thing, we are just applying pointers to here, because on the, if I'm trying to access by using object reference, I'm just accessing only derived class members. Okay, I want to access both the members. Okay, from base class as well as derived class. In that case we are going to use this pointers concept. Okay, by using pointer I'm able to access both the members. Okay, now see here your pointer is pointing to, this is your object. Okay, which object it is? Derived class object. You have created derived class object here, and your pointer ptr also, which type of ptr pointer it is? Derived type only. derived type pointer is pointing to your object. Okay, inside derived you have base class members and derived class members. These are the derived class members, these are the base class members. Okay, now by using this pointer, which type it is? Derived type. By using derived type, you can see here I'm just pointing derived class object. Which pointer it is? Derived type pointer. Okay, if I call these two members, what happens? Let's see. I will just comment these two. See, now if you observe here, I will just call this put data function also, and display and show. Here I will write, instead of put data, I will write show only, because to get some clarity. Okay, not put data. Both functions I just overridden here inside derived. Both the functions are overridden. Okay, same function name, same number of parameters. Okay, this is show. Now see this output. See, by using derived class pointer, I'm able to access derived class members only. Okay, by using this pointer, derived class pointer, I'm able to access only derived class members. Now you are not able to accessing these members, right? You're not able to access these members. In that case, what we need to do, we will always create, okay, we'll always create pointer for base class. Okay, by using that pointer, you can access like base class members. Now see the magic here. Okay, instead of derived class pointer, I will just change base class pointer. Now this pointer pointing to derived class. Okay, now this pointer is pointing to derived class. Now see the difference. It is accessing the members from base class. Okay, it is accessing from it is accessing members from base class. That means by using your base class pointer, okay, you are like pointing to, you are storing address of derived. Okay, that address you are storing in base class pointer. By using base class pointer, you can access only base class member. By using derived class pointer, okay, you can access only derived class members. But I want to access both with the same pointer, I want to access both the members. Okay, that we can do by using virtual functions. Okay, that we will see. Okay, but thing here it is, how you are able to accessing your derived class members by using pointers, and how you are able to accessing base class members by using pointers. Okay, if you are clear that thing, okay, we can move to the polymorphism concept. Okay, to access your base class point members, we need to create like base pointer, base class pointer, and you can point to derived class. Okay, derived class address you can store in that particular base class pointer, so that you can access both the members. Sorry, you can access base class members by using that particular pointer. Okay, many things we have students, I'm just we'll meet in the next class. You can leave now.